The video you're about to see is disturbing. How many times have you heard this since the May death of George Floyd? Some on social media are calling it trauma porn and are asking that people not share videos of what they believe is police brutality aimed at black men. What might be the effects of this video? 2 years ago, a University of Pennsylvania study said seeing someone who looks like you being killed by someone who is supposed to protect you can be traumatizing. Research says the pictures resulted in increases in poor mental health days for black men, mostly occurring in the 30 to 60 days after seeing the video. Black men complained of an increase in anxiety, headaches, and stomach aches. When videos like these first surfaced, some people believed it was proof of what they had been seeing for a long time. The hope was that it would provoke change. When that did not happen, hope was replaced by despair, anger, and sadness. There is also the fear that people will grow numb to seeing violence against African Americans. There is, of course, the argument that showing these videos is necessary to hold police accountable for their actions. The solution we might all agree on is the wish that these videos would disappear because the incidents have disappeared. I'm Bill Prasad, your mental health and wellness expert.